Hello, my friend. If you're watching this video, then on some level, you are feeling pulled between two worlds. And what I mean by this is many of us who are deliberately choosing to make authentic choices in our life, many of us who are deliberately shifting into a more authentic way of living and relating, are finding that in certain ways paths are opening up for us, but in other ways we might feel the unknowing or the pull or the uncertainty of the old way of being. And some of the questions that have come into my world, into my field lately, have been, Danielle, how do you balance these two polarities? How do you balance, for example, moving forward on the thing you feel you are meant to do and then attending meetings? How do you feel about creating, materials that are inspiring to the soul, but then balancing that out with marketing practices that work, but what if they don't feel authentic to me? How do I balance out enjoying life, but then feeling the pressure of responsibility of what I am here to do? All these questions that come through are really asking the same thing. How do I move through life with the totality of polarity inside of me? How do I live authentically when there is something I feel called to do and there is something that I feel I need to do? And here is the very clear answer that I will give, that I have been living by, and that I offer to you as a perspective. The more that we commit to living from the resonance of our true north, and I'm pointing both to my heart and to my gut here, because this is where I have found the unity of them is the informative true north within ourselves. And by true north, I mean if you were to have inner guidance and an inner guidepost, the source of that guidance isn't somewhere out here. It can be reflected out here, but it actually comes, it resonates from deep within. An even more accurate answer would be that it's neither within or without. It's resonating at all fields at the same time. But the place for us to follow our inner guidance comes from deep within our core. Think like somewhere right behind the belly button is usually where it's felt. And the reason this is important, and I'm identifying this physical place, is because when we decide to move forward with what is resonant in our life, it doesn't come from the place of thoughts. Thoughts might come when we are in our vibrational resonance. So when we put ourselves in clarity and when we are in a place of appreciation, when we're in a place of gratitude, when we're in a place of knowing that we are here to embody what we truly are, and we trust ourselves to give ourselves moment-to-moment guidance. And I'm so curious about what inspirations might come through for that. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Oh, that resonates, because the thought comes through and it resonates with my core. And what I'm describing is how you can use your own body as a tuning fork, as a navigational tool for the ideas and the insights that come into your field. Because we don't need to take all the things that come to us as truth. We can observe them, we can digest them, we can perceive them, we can play with them and turn them around. But in order to check what is resonant for us or not, what resonates, and the reason I use that word and not right or wrong is because right or wrong is based in a fixed perspective. It's based in a perspective of here is the truth, right and wrong. When we come to a place of resonance, then we're no longer dictating essentially what's right or wrong. We're dictating what is in the resonance and what is not in the resonance. And what that does is it shifts from judgment into discernment. And the reason that is important is because sometimes the stories we tell ourselves about why something is right or wrong can shift over time. And looking at things from a place of resonance versus right or wrong can help you be more adaptable when new things come in resonance and old things move out of resonance. Because sometimes people have a crisis of identity when they reach a point where an old way, an old belief of looking at things is being challenged. And that's because the story of it is being challenged. When we actually listen to our guidance and we trust that guidance and we inform the mind to trust the guidance, then we can move forward with clarity. But when the mind is very, very fixed and very attached, and when it needs to know things in order to be okay, when it's not connecting to the trust of the rest of the body, this is where we sometimes get into, I want to say, almost self-arguments. And, if that's something you are experiencing, this is a very human condition. This is something that I've gone through. This is having the knowledge of how things work doesn't specifically shift us out of challenges of experiences, but it can better equip us. It can better equip us to understand and work with ourselves. And this is something that I've learned when I was initially diving into a lot of the knowledge behind what I'm sharing here. The initial young intention, I would suppose, would be if I know enough, I can figure it all out, and then I can stop having pain. And that's a story for another day, but it's a fun one. So, coming back to the duality between your experiences. If you are experiencing, for example, how do I allow myself to go all in with what I know is true and then balance responsibilities in my life? This is a very common one. What we do is we bring our resonance to the responsibilities. The idea isn't to shake off responsibilities. The way I look at it is sometimes when we make a choice, our life may have a little bit of momentum from where it was and where it's arriving now. And as we shift into a new way of being, we don't always have to burn down the ship. And I say that as someone who constantly was carrying torches and trying to burn things down around me. We can. This is one of the ways to make a big change in reality, but we can also make adjustments based on the micro ways that we interact day to day. How do we apply this to the things that you feel in your life, like responsibilities or things that are to be done? Once you make a full-hearted, full-spirited commitment to living your path and your values, this is why values are so important. Be so clear on what your values are that when different opportunities or challenges or situations come up in your life, you can relate them with your values, and then you can make choices that are value aligned. And sometimes that does mean ending a relationship or leaving a job or making a big shift like that. Sometimes it does. But what we can do before, it's not about making the external choice. It's not about, oh, I've changed, so I have to leave my job because it upsets me. Sometimes when people leave jobs or leave relationships, or they do it from a place of, I'm done with this and I'm going to leave and yeah, that's done, they sometimes find themselves in a similar pattern with a different person or a different job because they haven't actually completed the loop. So every experience in your life right now is actually everything you need to thrive. Every single thing you have in your life right now is what you need to thrive. And that is a very intense and interesting thing to say because some of us are in very extreme situations. And yet, there are always pathways. And the pathways always start within. They always have their origin point within ourselves. This is why we are so powerful creators. Because nothing external actually has to be a certain way for us to connect to our inner resonance and then be connected to the field of synchronicity in which auspicious and helpful circumstances and people and places and things can line up. But what it takes is for us to move from that center place that I was describing. The commitment to that closes unnecessary doors and opens helpful doors. The commitment to that aligns us with our most resonant path. And it's not an assurance that we won't feel unknown, or we won't feel pain, or we won't have challenges. But any of those things that we experience are going to be highly harmonic and in service of us, and not what we might consider unnecessary or looping patterns. From another perspective, you could say nothing's really unnecessary, and let's just say this is a more efficient way to move through perceived challenges, so you're not lingering in them any longer than is absolutely necessary, that is absolutely connected to your highest joy. So, if you are having this sense of, well, I have so much to do, or I just don't know how to be on my path, you know how to be on your path. Your inner you knows. And the part of you that may be feeling a little shaky or unknown may be the mind, and it may be some latent emotion. I want to offer to you that the paradox is, while what you are doing is so crucial and so invaluable, it is also so light. It is also so light, and what you are actually doing is honoring the most authentic you. It's not extra energy to do what you need to do. Let's see if I could say this another way. Sometimes when we think about the responsibility of being who we are, it can be easy to go, oh, I have to do a lot, or I have to do a lot of extra things. But whoever you are built. You are built for what you are meant to do. You know, kind of like a horse. A horse is built to run across the plains. It's actually joyful for the horse to gallop. It's joyful to run. And whatever it is that you are here to resonate at your highest level, you are built for, inside and out. And any responsibility you have is actually you being in your joy, your genius, and your flow. So your responsibility is fulfilled as you are in your genius and flow, and there's not something extra that you have to construct to help others. We help by being in our flow, by modeling flow in a way where others can perceive you in flow and go, I wonder what that's like for me. And then they find their flow, and then they find their flow, and then they find their flow. And then what happens is we start creating a synchronistic domino effect in which no one is starting to work beyond their energetic means. People are remembering what their energetic means are, and they're operating in that synchronicity. And then, we start to have a lot of fun together, because the more of us that remember how to move together in these different parts, the more that we have opportunities to co-create synchronicity. But that may be a video for another day. So my friend, thank you if you have watched this far. I am in celebration of you and all that you are bringing to this world. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And also, I will leave some resources in the descriptions. If you are feeling inspired to inquire about the next flow-based container we will have, please go ahead and check in the description. There may be some resources for our flow-based containers. And I have such deep appreciation for you. I'm looking forward to the next time that we chat.